Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. A couple DC Extended Universe bits I've dropped today, and the first one is actually kind of fun. This is a fun one. Zachary Levi, he goes on Instagram and he does these live Instagram things, so right? And answering questions from fans and stuff. And then when he was answering questions from different fans, one fan showed up, and his name is none other than Henry Cavill, who pops up and he's asked the question, who's your favorite superhero? Of course, Zachary Levi totally missed that. He found it out later and actually got this. He posted this on Instagram, and it's quite funny to see them interact. It makes it even more compelling to feel that Superman, Henry Cavill, will show up on Shazam, and I hope he really does. I hope all this playfulness ends up being nothing, and he doesn't even appear in Shazam in any sort of form. So hopefully this all just means it's just hinting and teasing that Shazam will come out and we'll see Henry Cavill. Okay, so before Shazam comes out of next year, we got one movie coming out this year, and that is Aquaman. Aquaman is undergoing reshoots, or like the director says, on pickups. You know, it doesn't sound so harsh. Right now, nowadays, it's pretty bad. When you say reshoots, people are like, oh my God, it's reshoots, 90% reshoots, 50%. You know, it just goes nuts. And in the case of Justice League, oh my God, it really did happen. But for Aquaman, because we don't hear too much news about it, I think that's a good thing. No news is good news in this case, and this is a pretty interesting one for the DC Extended Universe, is that Randall Park has been cast as Dr. Shin in Aquaman. In the comics, Shin is a friend of Arthur Curry's, helps him develop his Aquaman powers before turning on him and trying to kill him. And this is James Wan had tweeted it out. So happy and fortunate to be finally working with this man, Randall Park, on pickups, Wan said in his announcement tweet. And it's kind of cool to see. Patrick Wilson also tweeted out, says, Dr. Shin, stay out of my way, congratulations. And so they're having fun with it, and they're actually really, they're being very open about it, and that's kind of cool to see them just be open. And yep, James Wan, he's really like, there's nothing going on, there's nothing wrong, I'm fine, this movie's fine, look, I'm casting, we just finally were using him for pickups. Randall Park, who I only really know from Fresh Off the Boat with Constance Wu. It's a really funny show. A lot to do with the 90s, and it's kind of cool to see that Asian mentality in there, even though he's not Chinese at all. But it's cool to see this, to see a lot more Asian people being on Aquaman. Ludi Lin, who is from Power Rangers, is also in Aquaman, so it's kind of cool. James Wan, look at me, man, I'm available. But anyway, Aquaman is coming out, and it seems like they're adding a little bit more to it. I don't know if this means it's adding more to it because of a bigger part of the universe, or they're just adding something to have that connection with Aquaman and finding his powers. Maybe they're adding just a little bit of that just to give it a little bit more of an origin story, rather than just a continuation of Justice League. And so that could be part of the process in here as well. I believe even Amber Heard is also doing some pickups as well, so there's got to be a lot going on with that, right? More on that later, though. For this next news is very interesting, and this is kind of went under the radar. Not many people were talking about it, but I find it very good. This is coming from The Wrap. Michelle Slavik named EVP of Global Publicity Strategy at Warner Brothers Pictures. Okay, so I'm going to read you the article. Warner Brothers Pictures has appointed Michelle Slavik Executive Vice President of Global Publicity and Strategy, the company said Thursday. Slavik joins the studio from her post at Google as a communications head for YouTube, where she handled entertainment and music PR initiatives and corporate and creative matters. Michelle is a well-respected publicity executive with an impressive track record of leadership, innovation, and strategic vision, said Blair Rich, Warner Brothers President of Worldwide Marketing and Home Entertainment, to whom Slavik will report. In her new role, Slavik will handle domestic and international PR across the studio and its imprint, New Line Cinema, who is handling Black Adam and Shazam. She'll also work with marketing group management on campaign design and strategy for both individual titles and franchises like the DC Films Superhero Universe. Okay, Slavik spent 5 years with Google, and in the last 2 years, her team launched over 50 publicity campaigns for the company's YouTube original series and movies. Slavik was also responsible for the launch of campaigns for YouTube TV and YouTube Red. Prior to that, she served as VP at Universal Studios Home Entertainment, supervising over 200 publicity campaigns for Universal Pictures, Focus Features, and NBC. She began her career at the Shoah Foundation, Steven Spielberg's non-profit organization dedicated to the recording of Holocaust survivor testimonies for educational use. And then we have this whole memo from Rich about Slavik's hire obtained by the Wrap, so I'll link this article in the description if you want to completely read about that. But I want to focus in about her abilities here, right? Now, should they talk about her campaign? A lot of her campaigns before of YouTube original series, movies. She's done stuff for Universal Studios Home Entertainment, and she used to work for Google. So I think that's a good thing. And I think, and I shared this in my tweet, is that we can always make use of good PR people who are good in marketing and things like that, to able to elevate the DC Films superhero universe, as they're calling it. I still call it DC Extended Universe, DCEU, because that's just comes to my mind. I don't know what it's called, but DC Films if you want. But it's any way to have a good campaign manager, campaign marketing manager, in that fact, and go handling it international too, because it's not just domestic anymore. Internationally, we need to make box office numbers across the world, right? In the entire world. And if we can get a person who's very knowledgeable in Google, very knowledgeable in social media, very knowledgeable internet marketing, then right on, man. You know, we need those young blood, right? And she looks young. I don't know how old she is, but she looks young. But in order to have that, we need that people who can able to reach the marketing of a movie to anybody, to everybody, in mainstream audiences, the people that will buy a ticket, including the fans who will buy a ticket. The fans we already know. I know about Aquaman. You know about Aquaman. Everybody who's watching this channel probably knows about Aquaman. I don't have to sell to you, but I have to sell to the guy across the street who's like, Aquaman? Who the heck is Aquaman? What is that? Like, Aquaman? Some guy with a fish guy? Why would I want to watch that? So stuff like that. Shazam, some red dude in a cape with a thunderbolt. Who's that? Right? So we need some great marketing people to be able to get that across. They have successful campaigns. I don't know if YouTube Red has really good campaigns or not, but I see them. I see the Cobra Kai flash on my screen. I see that what's that Asian Anna, whatever, her weird high school movie, and it flashes on YouTube. You know, it looks, it's you see that, right? And that's good. It has presentation. It has presence. It's able to get out there. And if social media things, if they're able to make it trending, then that's where the audience will be, the people that it trends to. And then it's mass marketed. You see billboards. You see things like that. This is all part of marketing in order to get people butts in their seats in the theater. And when movies make money, that's when we get more movies. That's when the studios see that's the direction they want to go, and they will keep going in that direction, right? That's the idea for the entire process of that, of marketing and the PR, public relations and stuff like that. So having these publicity campaigns is a good thing, and hearing that they're hiring new blood in order to be in these publicity campaigns, in these marketing groups, in order for the general strategy of DC Films to be successful. I think it's a good thing, and I think we should know more about it, right? I mean, I think hearing this was probably made me really happy today, because it's like all right, they're finally, I don't know what they've had before, but hearing this from the rap and hearing what she's done before and hearing they're optimistic in turn and trying to make it better, trying to market it more to the crowd. Maybe we won't, it may be the days of only $600 something million box office are over. Maybe we'll get to the billion finally. But it's all part of marketing itself. And I think movies like Transformers and stuff like that, even though they aren't well received by a lot of people, majority of people, they're box office money, and it may not just all be marketing, but it could partially be all marketing. Even though the critics downplayed it and they're like, "Oh, that movie sucks" and stuff like. Look at Big Boss. That the critics kind of trashed. Half of them kind of trashed on that, but that made a lot of money. So it doesn't have to be I want to say good movie, but it doesn't have to be well received. But if the marketing campaign is really good, it could take that box office number up to where they want it, really need to. Now, I want a good quality film, but film is subjective. It's always a good idea to have a good campaign manager in terms of marketing, just like presidential elections and stuff. It's good to have a campaign manager to get out there and make sure people vote for you, vote for the right person. So it's the same thing, and I think having new blood in this department could be a good award. It could be a winner for DC Films superhero universe, and maybe, just maybe, pushing that envelope from negative DC films being a negative thing to a more positive thing. And after a few movies that are coming out, Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 2, and when they're good and the marketing's good, the campaign's good, the positivity's good, critics, not that I care, but for a lot of people who do care, and we know that Rotten Tomatoes does affect the box office sometimes, especially in superhero movies, is that when it's good, people tend to not look at it so closely, right? They don't look at it in a microscope like, oh, that shot's bad. Oh, that CG's bad. I mean, look at things like Marvel, right? That ending fight for the Black Panther is a great movie. I love Black Panther. The ending fight on the train is the worst thing that is in that movie. Okay, that's the worst. Ceremony fights, awesome. That CG thing, oh my, it was terrible. And stuff you see now in Avengers Infinity War, some of it is like video gamey, right? But we're getting, a lot of people will give it a pass because the conversation is positive. People are enjoying it. They're looking past those little things. But why are they looking at movies like Justice League with a fine scope, with a fine comb? They're really, oh, look at that shot. Look at that shot. It's terrible. Even though we've seen worse things. It's because of the publicity and the trend for DC films. It's this negative. It's like, oh, it's always a negative thing right now. So it's good to have a campaign manager, in summary, to able to elevate that, maybe make it a more positive publicity, right? And I think that's always a good thing for giant properties such as the DC Films superhero universe or DC Extended Universe. And that's why I think this piece of news was a really good one, and it gives me a lot more hope and optimism. Hope and optimism to the DC Extended Universe. Actually, I want to talk about a little bit. Some people have concerns, including Fiona, and I just saw your tweet. Is that a lot of us DC Extended Universe fans had come on board because of Zack Snyder, and he started it all, right? And we like where it was going. And now you wouldn't want to say it's art house film. I think it's more art house in terms of my sense and belief in saying it transcends just your usual comic book genre, right? It's not just your usual get in the movie, have some laughs, cheering, and it's fun, and then at the end you leave the movie theaters. Oh, that was a good movie. Was that a good movie? Oh, that was awesome. Right? Yeah, cool. What's next? I think the movies like Batman v Superman of Steel, you go back and watch it. I mean, Man of Steel was more comic booky in terms of action and adventure, but Batman v Superman was something else. It was really something else, and I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that type of film, that transcends your mainstream comic book genre movie. So obviously, when Justice League came out, it is more mainstream audience type friendly, right? Like people will call it Marvel movie like, and even though that is a little bit unfair to say, even though it is, what Marvel has done has created a type of atmosphere and expectation of what a superhero movie is, right? And so when a movie comes out, that's the expectation. A superhero movie comes out, that's the expectation. Now, that is the norm. That is the general rule for the mainstream audience. When they see, oh, it's a superhero movie, that's what it's good. So, in a way, that kind of handicaps the DC Films universe. It handicaps the Fox X-Men universe, because the Fox X-Men universe are not like the Marvel universe on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what I'm trying to say, the Disney version. So that's where it comes in, where it amounts to. And so when Justice League came out, it was more mainstream general audience type appeal, right? It's very simplified, super simplified. Comic books got humor in it, and there's nothing wrong with humor, but some of it's like blatant humor, not funny. It's funny, but it's not like natural funny, if you know what I mean. Like, in terms of, okay, I'm gonna go on Zack Snyder again, but so like Batman v Superman, where Batman fights Superman and he's punching him, and then when the kryptonite wears off, he's punching Superman's face and is like bam, and then his arm and his gauntlet starts bending, and he's like, oh, that's funny. Flash realizing that Superman, and this is Justice League, of course, but Flash realizing that Superman can't just be as fast as him. That was funny. The look he got, he was like, oh, what, Superman's looking at me, that's funny. That's some funny stuff. But it doesn't have to go to the jokey humor, say like a Thor Ragnarok movie. Which there is a place in the Hollywood cinema world to have that type of film. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. I'm saying there is a place for that. But what DC Films was originally, DC Extended Universe was originally going to do with using Zack Snyder was less of that and more of a serious tone. I would say. I hate saying dark tone because other movies can be dark as well. Even Black Panther was a little bit of a dark, but it's a little bit more along a serious tone. Lots of layers to it. There's a little bit more in there. There's things, Easter eggs and things like that. So it's a lot more depth to it, a lot more things we can comprehend from different scenes. It's visually appealing and stuff like that. So I'm gonna miss that. But Justice League is now changed over. So now the question is, how much has that affected with, I'm assuming, Jeff Johns going in there, being the writer and being the advisory role. How much will that affect the rest of the movies that are coming out? And I know a lot of people are kind of wondering what Aquaman's going to be. And James Wan is a great director. But there are some elements, because Zack Snyder was a producer of that. How much has that changed in terms of concepts and of how it's reworked? It is known now that it's going to be more colorful. We've seen the sets where Mera is much more colorful, very green. Her hair is very red, and it could be before the color grading, if there is going to be much of that. That's another issue altogether that can be done in post. And then Aquaman's suit is rumored to be at least maybe one or two of his, either the first suit or it is the only suit, is going to be more along the lines of the comics, right? And that I believe is Jeff Johns' influence in there. So now we're wondering how much of that influence is going to continue on. Are they really going to change it back to the appeal of Zack Snyder's, or even Wonder Woman's Patty Jenkins, which I felt that Wonder Woman's Patty Jenkins also had that color grading as well, and it was more desaturated, kind of like how Zack Snyder had done, but with you see how Justice League's all washed out. Is that influence still going to carry on? And so I think a lot of people who were fans of the DC Extended Universe, in terms of Snyder fans as well, are kind of really nervous about what is the product that is Aquaman, or what is the product that is Shazam or Wonder Woman 2. Shazam will probably be more along the lines of how it's like Justice League in a sense. More the colors and stuff are very vibrant and things like that. So that probably has more. It has almost absolutely. Zack Snyder hasn't even done that. So. But Zack Snyder's a producer on Wonder Woman 2, and that's because of Wonder Woman 1. So I don't know how far along the process of his thought focus was into those films, and how much of his influence will currently stay. Worst case scenario is that it doesn't stay at all. He's totally gone. It's gone. They're going to go completely in the direction of the superhero genre that the mainstream audience would definitely love, and definitely just want to go in there, have a good time in the theaters, and walk out really happy. And more along the times of like even the comic book fans, the ones that love Justice League, like some of my friends do, want that more of that. In terms of even seeing Jeff Johns' influence, you can kind of still see that it's still going on. It hasn't stopped. You can see that in Krypton, where originally Krypton with David Goyer was more like a Man of Steel references. It almost looked like it was a prequel to Man of Steel. And then when you actually watch Krypton, you hear the John Williams score. You see the changes. You see the bright reds, the cape, and the yellow emblem, and you're like, okay, they want to tap into that Christopher Reeve nostalgia mode, right? And then you see that in Justice League, and that's not a coincidence at all. They're really going backwards here, and they're trying to tap into your nostalgia in order to get that feel, in order to get that mainstream audience to come back and say, I liked that before, I want to see more of that. So that's where a lot of the current DC Extended Universe fans are really nervous about. And I feel you. I get it. I get you. And I'm very eager to see. I think from Aquaman, we're going to see what's going to be happening to that. With the DC Extended Universe, the DC Films panel that's going to probably be in the San Diego Comic-Con this year, we will probably be aware of what direction they are definitely going in, what kind of thought process Walter Hamada has for the rest of the universe, and what they're going to do with that. So, stay tuned. It's going to be a big one. But anyway, what are you guys' thoughts about Aquaman reshoots or pickups having Randall Park, is that his name? Did I just get it right? Yeah, is involved in that. He's now Dr. Shin. Michelle Slavik, she's the new campaign manager or assistant executive vice president to be heading this marketing campaigns, publicity campaigns for this DC Films from here and on out. Zachary Levi and Harry Cavill, kind of cool thing going on. But I don't know, are you guys still really want to see more of this DC Extended Universe? Are you open for these huge changes, or are you a Snyder fan and you say that's it, I'm done? Once you see Aquaman and is not even Zack Snyder's influence is totally gone, are you done? Let me know down in the comments below. And thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.